It was just yesterday when I remember Chris Chan doing a double kickflip with Black Lives Matter scribbled on his board and ended systemic racism. Following the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, the skateboarding community erupted with solidarity events around the nation. And even through all of this, I had this lingering feeling that, like many massive bursts of activism in this country, that it would die down and things would go back to normal. Kwame Ture has this quote about mobilizing versus organizing.
We must know clearly the difference between mobilization and organization. One of the characteristics of mobilization is that it is temporary. Organization is permanent and eternal. If we're not careful, we allow mobilization to become events. The struggle is never an event, it's a process, a continual, eternal process.
Chris Chan's kickflip heard around the world would be a good example of mobilizing, while programs that make skating accessible to marginalized communities would be an example of organizing. Also, I'm sorry for picking on Chris Chan. I just thought that shit was a little hilarious. I'm sorry, Chris. In skateboarding, you often hear color doesn't matter when you're on the board.
And I'm colorblind, so I can't perform in front of these bigots.
Unfortunately, in the context of the United States, where systemic racism is prevalent in a plethora of ways, what makes you think of piece of wood with 4 wheels on it is the great equalizer that will keep racism from being involved in your subculture. Tyshawn Jones, Nakel Smith, Ray Barbie, Aaron are all amazing skaters, but that doesn't suddenly negate they're at higher risk of being profiled or being victims of state violence or hate crimes. In 2020, Nakel went on IG Live with Kevin White to talk about their experiences with racism in the skateboarding community. He mentioned that the late great Jake Phelps, chief editor at Thrasher, felt comfortable saying the N-word around him. What bothers me isn't that he said it, but that everyone around him was comfortable with him saying it. But what really stood out to me was when he mentioned that his colleagues felt comfortable making him the front line of defense at spots, not recognizing that they were putting him in danger, essentially seeing him as a disposable human to sacrifice his body so they could get their clip. Black people in this country get murdered for a lot less, whether it's a traffic stop or even sleeping in our own homes. So what makes you think putting your black friends in danger at spots couldn't possibly end up in a death sentence? Tyree Nichols was a black skater who was murdered at the hands of 5 police officers. The officers who did it were black, and I'm not really going to focus on how black people can perpetuate anti-black racism within our own communities. There's a plethora of resources for you to go do that research yourself. I saw the skate community once again mobilize with a plethora of events, but I couldn't help but feel a lingering sadness, knowing that this would eventually die down again without much actual honest conversations on how the community can be a better ally to black skaters. Tyree's local community immediately looked into long-term organizing through setting up a GoFundMe for his family and hopefully getting a skate park built in his name for his community. And even Tony Hawk is getting involved. Also, on a side note, shout out to Tony Hawk. Black people love Tony Hawk. If you were to have the Mount Rushmore of non-black people that black people love, it would be Tony Hawk, Jeff Hardy, Bruce Lee, and Goku. That being said, I don't think organizing against racism in skateboarding should only happen when one of us dies. I don't just want this to be a video where I overly critique the skateboarding community. I've been skating since I was a kid. It is something I love doing, and hell, it's what kept me sober when I was going through a very dark time in my life, so I hold this community very dear to my heart. I want to give credit where credit is due. Good Push is an organization that is dedicated to ending racism in skateboarding. They have a plethora of workshops that you can implement into your local skate community to ensure that everyone feels safe. I think it's fair to say that a lot of this new vocabulary can be scary, and sometimes learning it can be a little unforgiving at times. And something I really appreciate about goodpush.org is that they really do take the time to break down a lot of these terms for a way that everyone can understand them. I would also like to give a shout out to Slow Impact in Phoenix, Arizona for hosting a panel called You're Skating on Native Land that centered Indigenous voices in the skateboarding community, because more often than not, Indigenous voices are ignored.
Yeah, because everyone wants you to go to Cali, right? Someone could walk up to me right now and say, well, why don't you just go to fucking Cali then? Like, go over there, go move over there, go make it happen. I'm like, dude, I want to live on the res and stay with my people and help my people in my community. Like, I don't need to go to California.
There's organizations such as FroSkate that like to host skateboarding sessions that center the safety of Black and Indigenous people of color, femmes, queer people, trans people, and gender non-conforming people.
2, 3, all love, no hate, FroSkate!
I love the skateboarding community, and I don't want this video to come off as me trying to cancel the skateboarding community. If anything, I just wanted to shed light on something I feel like I don't see get talked about a lot within this space. I think the skate community is actually in a lot of ways really accepting, but we also have a long way to go. That being said, I think some of the easiest ways you could organize within your community is definitely implementing some of the workshops that Good Push has, and maybe even going to your local skate shop and seeing if they would be interested in hosting those workshops. Maybe even you could host those workshops within your own community, your own skate park, or even just among, some of your close friends. I think another easy way to organize or to make a change is to just listen to a lot of the marginalized people within your skate community and hearing what they need. It's tiny things like that that are going to make all the difference and make this space safe for everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Please, please, please donate to Tyree's GoFundMe. I'm going to have that in the description. And check out a lot of the other organizations I mentioned in this video, because they will be in the description too. Peace.
It's up to you and you alone.